Want your ex back, but they're moving away, they're moving out of town? Don't worry if you're in that situation, I've got your back, and that's what I'm going to talk about in this video. How's it going, YouTube? I am, of course, Brad Browning, and I'm here with another video today on how to get your ex back. So, like I said, guys, I'm addressing a very specific issue in this video, and to be honest, it isn't a question that I get asked too often, but if you're in this particular situation, then you've hit the jackpot. So, the topic of today's video is how you can get your ex to come back and commit to you if they're planning on moving away. Now, for most topics, I usually say that there's always a good chance to get your ex back if you've been following my advice very closely since the breakup. And, like I always say, the vast majority of breakups are salvageable if you know what you're doing. However, this really isn't most situations. See, one of the biggest reasons why my system is so powerful is because I essentially teach you how to create a shitload of attraction with your ex in a really short period of time. But the key here is that it's mostly done in person. However, obviously, if your ex is moving away, it can be much, much more difficult. So difficult, in fact, that I usually tell my clients who are in this situation to think about moving on. So if you're in that kind of situation where your ex is planning on moving out of town, often I'll suggest moving on or thinking about moving on at least. Why? Because it's really difficult to build attraction in a long-distance relationship. See, if your ex was, staying in the same city or town that you live in, you're able to see your ex, you're able to use covert psychological strategies that can make your ex, fall back in love with you, sometimes even obsess over you again. However, those tips and tactics can really only be done in person. It's really difficult to build attraction, through email or text messages, especially if your ex isn't willing to talk to you yet. Now, I know that's probably not what you want to hear at this point, but it is the truth. However, if you're dead set on making your ex fall back in love with you, then here are some tips that you can employ to hopefully make that a reality. Number one, you need to work fast. So guys, you need to build as much attraction as possible before your ex leaves. That means engaging, in some level of no contact for a few days at least. Even though you might not have that much time, you really need to engage in no contact for as long as you possibly can. And this on its own will hopefully be enough to get your ex to start talking to you again. And it usually is, depending on your situation. And getting your ex back and building a strong bond with him or her, it's going to involve using my complete system, but sort of in turbo mode. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about that later. Let's move on to number two. Tip number two is, set up a meet. Once your ex begins chatting with you, you're gonna want to set up a meeting. In this case, just be honest. Say something like, "It would be really great to see you before you go." Usually, that kind of thing is a good enough reason for him or her to agree to meet with you. If your ex is being hesitant to set up an in-person meeting, just be really clear that all you want is to catch up and have a coffee to say goodbye. And at this point, hopefully he or she is not going to be, they might be too worried that it's going to be difficult or pointless to say goodbye. So you may have to be really insistent. It's critical that you see your ex in person before he or she leaves, because once they do leave, like I said, it's going to be next to impossible to build that sort of organic, lasting attraction with him or her that you need to in order to successfully win them back. Tip number three, use the sneaky psychological attraction tips that I share in my X Factor Guide program. This is the time really to use all of my most powerful tips. And you can find out more about those powerful attraction methods that I share in my X Factor Guide in the program and on my website. But in this video, I just want to quickly talk about something that I call the covert jealousy technique. Now, this is a technique in my program that is designed to make your ex a little bit jealous, right? And to make him or her start chasing you down for a second chance. So I'm just going to jump right into an example. So let's say, during your meetup with your ex, you can say something like, "So one of my friends heard that I was recently single and is trying to set me up with this girl who apparently has a crush on me. I'm just not sure I'm ready to date yet." Something as simple and subtle as that can make your ex really start to second guess and question their decision to break up with you. Number four, be intimate with your ex. This is especially important for the guys out there. One of the most powerful ways to build attraction, to make your ex fall in love with you again, is actually just to sleep with him or her. So have a plan in mind before you meet your ex and see if you can relocate to your place or theirs after, but just have a really good reason for doing so. So you don't just say that you want your ex to come over for some sexy time. Don't be that obvious. You're gonna have to be more subtle, right? So you could say something like, "Oh, you have a couple of things you forgot at my place still. Let's just swing by there so I can give it to you." And again, the key here is just subtle. Be subtle, guys. Once he or she is back at your place, once that works out, then it's just a matter of using some flirtation tactics to make your ex reach his or her boiling point. Now, one quick caveat, please do keep in mind that in my program, if you're a woman, I actually don't advocate sleeping with your ex right away. But given the special circumstances that you're facing, that is, which your ex is moving out of town, right? There's really no harm in sleeping with your ex, ladies. So you can go ahead in this case. And if you don't, it's probably going to be impossible to build that sort of connection again once they're gone. So this is sort of the exception to that rule. And ladies, you do want to sleep with him if he's moving out of town sometime soon and you want him back.